obviously coming off the bye week, just what were some of the things that you guys worked on the most during the week?
Rest mainly, getting the guys that's played a lot of snaps, some rest, developing the next level guys, which giving those guys the majority of the reps last week, which was great. Those guys, were coming along. Development of younger guys is obviously extremely important. So you can use those weeks to give those guys a lot of reps, and to really give the guys that have been playing the most a little bit of, not that they have complete time off, they're still getting reps at practice, but just kind of taking it easy on them a little bit with the amount.
Who were some of those guys, like the rotational guys who you don't see a ton on the field, who maybe impressed you the most with their progress during the reps of the bye week?
You talking about the younger guys?
Yeah.
I mean, all of them, none of them were like disappointing. I'm not gonna sit here and point out one and not point out the other, but I was happy with those guys, and I thought they played really well, to be honest with you.
If against Georgia Tech, offensively that was your lowest scoring output of the year.
Yep.
Just looking at that tape, is what you took away from that game. Kind of what are some things you're looking to build off that to not make.
Well, we were bad on critical downs. Is really the story of the game. First and second down was about the same. Than we had. It was right at over 7 yards per play, which is about where we're at. If we have a really good game, it's a little more than that. We were bad on critical downs. We were 3 of 10 on third down and 1 of 4 on fourth down. We've been really good on critical downs all year. We've led the nation. And in that game, we just did some uncharacteristic things on critical downs. As far as, you can go through the list. We were 5 yards too deep on some routes. That's route discipline, part of it. We had bad eyes at quarterback on a couple of them. And I could probably put them in better situations on a couple of them. Everybody kind of goes through the checklist of blame, but we have to be better on critical downs. We knew the game went about like I knew it was going to go. I knew they were going to hold the ball, and I knew our possessions were going to be low, so our plays were going to be low. You got to take advantage of them when they're low, and we pressed a little bit and did some uncharacteristic things on critical downs that cost us.
Do you buy into, so there was that 10-minute drive, do you buy into the thinking that your offense could get out of rhythm when you're on the sideline?
We talk about just staying ready to play, but as far as out of rhythm, looking back on it, you can sit here and dissect it 20 different ways. Do I think that we pressed on offense? Yes. And do I know why? No. In games like that, you typically can press a little bit because you're not going to get a lot of opportunities. So when you're out there, you feel like I got to take advantage of it. So you end up doing some things that are uncharacteristic, instead of just playing football and making routine plays, right? And so I don't know if it had anything to do with that, to be quite honest with you, but the way the game was going and looking back on it and evaluating film, there was definitely some issues on critical downs that have not shown up through the course of the year. And so why did they show up then? I couldn't tell you, other than the fact that, I've had a Saturday to watch college football and it looks like it's happening in a lot of places. Points are harder at the end of the year. It's just facts.
Why is that?
I think that offenses have played 10 games. Defenses are probably getting more comfortable with what they're doing. It's conference games late in the year, so the teams are more equally matched and things mean more. You factor in everything, right? I don't know. It's just the way it is. You look across the board and you got 20 something to 10 games. In games where those teams have been scoring 40, now. Ultimately you got to go and score points. That's how you win games. And we had a chance at the end of the game to drive and win the game. As bad as we played on offense, we had a chance to go win the game. We just didn't take advantage of it. Couldn't get it going. So,
Shannon, is that a message that you're telling your team in terms of your philosophy with, late in the season, just what you just said in the answer? Is that maybe that you have to tell your team this kind of maybe a different mentality?
No, I don't tell them that really. I'm making an observation to you guys. I watched football yesterday, and it was just very, we go through what we went through Saturday, which was not fun. And then you have a chance to kind of decompress and watch college football. And, what you see is it's pretty similar across the board. And so later in the year, games are tighter, and it doesn't matter who's playing. It just doesn't. And so, you got to take advantage of opportunities. And really, that game, the storyline is honestly critical. That third downs. I mean, we were bad on third down for the first time all year,
How has Cam Ward responded, after loss? And then I saw he got all the offensive linemen some change. Wonder if did you get any blame from Cam Ward?
I didn't get any change. I don't know if I deserve any change, to be quite honest with you. But he responded fine. I mean, look, Cam Ward's lost a football game before. I've lost a football game before. We all know how to respond to losing a football game. It's not the end of the world. The sun came up the next day, the same way it came up every day before then, and we're going to work to get better and try to go 1-0 this week, right? And so it's unfortunate. I hate it. Obviously, if I could go back in time, I would change some things, but I can't go back in time.
Understanding it is a balance for any quarterback in terms of being aggressive and
Yeah.
taking what the defense gives you. How do you feel like that went for Cam against Georgia Tech?
I mean, obviously we made some critical mistakes at times, holding on to the ball, and he knows that. And you go back and watch those clips, and the theme is just put the ball in play. And so there were obviously opportunities just to spit the ball out, but ultimately, there's other times in the game where he extends and makes great plays. So, there's always gonna be the narrative of what do you want to press with, right? So you can watch film and you can be a revisionist history guy, right? Where you're like, or you can hey, look, this situation and move forward and learn from it. But also I can't discount the number of times that he's done that and it's helped us win a game. So there is a fine line there, obviously, and he understands that more than anybody, I promise you.
With Xavier Restrepo, I mean, you've coached him the last 2 years, and seen him develop him into one of the best receivers in the nation. This is the last home game coming up on Saturday, so what do you think he means to this program and to the team in general?
I mean, look, the kid's done everything, right? I mean, he's gonna leave here with every record, right? I think, is that accurate?
Receiving yards and receptions.
Yeah, and so, if you look back through the history of this place, I mean, he stands with some mountains, right? And so, and he deserves it, he's worked his tail off, he stayed extremely consistent. You look at his career and there was a lot of things that changed. And some kids handle change well and some kids don't handle change well. He's had coordinator changes, he's had head coaching changes, he's had quarterback changes, and he's kind of weathered it all. And he stayed pretty consistent to who he was. And regardless of who's throwing the ball or who's calling the plays, he's just been extremely consistent. And he's a gritty kid that deserves everything he gets because he's a typical kid that wears that chip on his shoulder from not getting the whatever he thought he deserved coming out of high school and all the other stuff. And so you love to see that with kids like him.
Well, I'm sure you're going to get calls in the offseason from NFL teams about him. Just what would you tell him? Like you said, he doesn't have the outstanding physical traits that teams have looked for. What would you tell him about him?
I would say that if he's on your team in camp, he's going to be on your team when the season starts. It's going to be hard to cut him because he's going to work hard every day. He's going to make plays. He might not look a certain way. He might not run a 40 the way you typically or want him to run. But if he's on your squad day one, he's going to be hard to cut because he's going to be that guy every day. He's going to make plays and it's going to be hard.
Anything else for Coach Dawson?